about you?
So this whole episode started back in chapter 37. Joseph has his dreams and says, I dreamed that your 11 sheaves will bow down to my sheaf, and they don't take kindly to that. And then he has another dream with the sun, moon, and the stars bowing down, and his dad says, "What? Am I gonna bow down to you? You're the child. I'm the father." And so that kind of leads this whole thing. But Jacob is playing favorites. He gives Joseph his coat, and again, just one more thorn in the side of the brothers that this little upstart kid is getting special treatment. So for some reason, Jacob sends Joseph to go find his brothers. They're up in. He goes to Shechem, and then by the time Joseph gets there, they moved on a little bit further northwest to a town called Dothan. That's where Joseph finds him, and they said, "Hey, who are you coming?" And so they see him coming, and then they plot. They're plotting against him right there. One of them says, "No, let's not kill him because there's no money in it for that. If we do that, let's sell him." And so that was Judah's idea, and so Judah is. Kind of thought of as the ringleader, and Reuben actually says, Reuben wants to go rescue him, which is interesting. And so we're going to get to the scene where there's more torn garments. And what's interesting back in 37 is Reuben goes to the pit. He's not there. He tears his garment. They're going to go bring this ruse back to Jacob. I don't know who's this. I don't know. I haven't seen it, but you might know who it is. It's got goat's blood on it, and it's Joseph's coat. And Jacob tears his garment. So we're going to see this theme here. And then so we've got this parallel story of the brothers in Canaan here, and then Joseph's down here, and they're going to meet. So they're out of food. They go down to get food, and then come back. And he says, "Don't come back without your brother," right? And so they're sitting up there. We looked at this in the last chapter. They're hungry. But they don't want to. I don't want to go see him. We can't go without Benjamin. And Jacob doesn't want. Jacob sends him down, and Judah is starting to step up. He says, "We can't go without Benjamin. What are you thinking? We can't." He said not to show our face. So now they come down with Benjamin, and then we are end of last chapter. Joseph saw them coming. They're having this feast, and they're all drinking Pharaoh's wine, and they think all is well. And that's where we pick up chapter 44 here. So I think it's funny that they think all's good, we're good, and then we're going to have one more test. And I put some discussion questions. These are Cody's notes, and I had some discussion questions, so we'll just kind of pick these up as we go. Can someone read the first 5 verses?
Sure. And he commanded the steward of his house, saying, "Fill the men's sacks with food, as much as they can carry, and put each man's money in the mouth of his sack. Also put my cup, the silver cup, in the mouth of the sack of the youngest, and his grain money." So he did according to the word that Joseph had spoken. As soon as the morning dawned, the men were sent away, and they and their donkeys. And when they had gone out of the city and were not far off, Joseph said to his steward, "Get up, follow the men, and when you overtake them, say to them, 'Why have you repaid evil for good? Is not this the one from which my Lord drinks, and with which he practiced divination? You have done evil in so doing.'"
So I like to think of it, they think all is well. They're riding out of town on their camels and donkeys, and then our equivalent today was you look in the rearview mirror and you see the red lights, right?
Yeah.
What have we done? We haven't done anything. What? Now, come on. What's going on here? And so they get pulled over, and they have this ruse. And what I find interesting is if you look where Joseph's giving the instructions, he just says, "Take my cup." But when the servant, unnamed servant again, finds the guy, he says, "You took his divination cup." So that's a clue for me, because we're going to see this divination theme kind of running through here. And the thought is, how can this godly man Joseph be involved with divination? And I don't think he is. I think it's pretty confident that he wasn't, because he doesn't say, "Take my divination cup." He just says, "Take the silver cup." And yet, so the divination is part of this ruse for them to think, that he's this Egyptian. And so he's kind of playing the game, playing it up. The silver cup is now a prop that he's using in this whole theater that's going on here. So Yeah, so his Cody's notes here say Joseph's intuition comes from the fact that he is a prophet, right? He was able to interpret dreams, but not from any pagan divination. But Joseph definitely knows more about their situation than they do, and so he's kind of playing that up. So the question here is, he could have singled out any of the brothers that went away and they got their, they loaded up with food, right? So they're blessed again. They get their money back again. He says, give the cup to the youngest. So my question is, why do you think Joseph said, give it to the youngest? He could have given it to anyone and called them out. Any thoughts?
To see if the brothers' attitude had changed to the better, because Benjamin has been the favored son since Joseph left.
Yes, I think that's right. I think Benjamin is kind of now acting as this next in line Joseph, and we're going to see that even Jacob lets it slip that I've only got 2 kids. He actually say that. 2 kids, 2 sons of my wife, right? And the other brother's going, hey, what am I, chopped liver? And so, he wants to see if is their hostility towards Rachel's children still the same, or has it softened more? And so I think it's interesting. This is going to go through this. Let's do 6 through 10. Someone read.
So he overtook them, and he spoke to them these same words. And they said to him, why does my Lord say these words? Far be it from us that your servants should do such a thing. Look, we brought back to you from the land of Canaan the money which we found in the mouth of our sacks. How then could we steal silver or gold from our Lord's house? Whomever of your servants is to be found, let him die, and we also will be my Lord's slaves. And he said, now also let it be according to your words. He with whom it is found shall be my slave, and you shall be blameless.
So this rash vow again, and you think they would have learned their lesson, because back in Genesis 31 is when the scene when Jacob is bolting from Laban's land up here, and they kind of gather everyone, they flee out. Laban pursues them. He's going to catch up to them in this region. This region here, and say, "What? You didn't even let me kiss my family goodbye. Woe is me. How could you do this to me? And by the way, why did you take my household gods?" Of course, Jacob has no knowledge that any household gods. So he makes this statement: "The one with whom you find your God shall not live. In the presence of our relatives, point out which among my belongings, and take it for yourself." Now Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen it, and the sages attribute Rachel's premature death to Jacob's vow here.
Yes, I
And
agree.
so they, here the brothers do the same thing, right? It's like the sins of the father are kind of repeated generationally here. So they make this vow, and fortunately, through the mouth of the servant is Joseph's, I'm sure Joseph's commands, saying, the last verse, let it be, but he with whom it is found shall be my slave. And it's like, I'm not going to kill Benjamin because Benjamin's Joseph's favorite, but the rest of you shall be blameless. So fortunately, the servant has the power to negate the vow that they made about whoever finds it would die, because otherwise Benjamin would have to die. And this kind of reminded me of Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount. He's talking about not making vows. And in Matthew 5:37, make sure let your yes be yes and your no be no, and anything beyond this is of the evil origin, right? So he's just, don't make vows. Don't make rash vows, especially. If you're going to make a vow, think it through and make sure you've got all the facts before jumping in. So why do you think that this? I'm sure Joseph planned all this, right? Whatever they say, you're going to take Benjamin back and let the others go free. So why does Joseph make the decision to keep only the guilty one as opposed to all of them? And it's probably related to the previous answer, why he put the cup in Joseph. So.
Well, in addition to what I said earlier, he hasn't seen Benjamin for so many years, and they were close.
Yeah.
Even though age twice they were separate, they were close, because not just because of the mother, but because of the sex. So the longing for that would be, here I have the opportunity to have a relationship back with my brother. Even though it's telling the other brothers he's going to become a slave, that's not his intent.
Right. And so I think the thought is, well, this is a test for the other brothers, but also if the other brothers' hearts have hardened or still hardened towards Benjamin, at least I'm going to bring Benjamin with me and protect him. I think that may be what's going on here. So remember back in the last chapter, 43, starting at verse 29, Joseph lifted his eyes, saw his brother Benjamin, his mother's son, and he's playing the Egyptian part still. Is this your youngest brother with whom you mentioned to me? And then he said, may God be gracious to you, my son. Then Joseph hurried out because his compassion grew warm and tender towards his brother, so that he wanted to cry. He went into another room and wept there. So he is, he's like, you nailed it, right? He's in love. He loves his brother, and they're tight. And he kind of wants, I want to get him away from these, ruffians if they're still harboring bad intentions. 44, 11 through 13.
Each man speedily let down his sack to the ground, and each opened his sack. So he searched it. He began with the oldest and left off with the youngest, and the cup was found in Benjamin's sack. Then they tore their clothes, and each man loaded his donkey and returned to the city.
Do you get Dylan? Do you get a fast pass through TSA, or do you have to go through it like a?
I used to. The problem is, yes and no.
Okay. So
sometimes.
So if you've traveled and your bag, they either find something that they're suspicious of in your bag, or you just get called out randomly.
Or that you forgot to pull your liquid.
Yeah. So then they're gonna toss your whole bag, right? And then they never quite get it all back in. They kind of leave it for you to repack. So, it's happened where I'm trying to put my shoes on and my belt on, and now I've got to, it's just sort of nerve-wracking, we'll see, and everyone's looking like, oh, what did he try to bring on? So you've got this scene, that's just what I thought of when I thought of this. So he's starting with Reuben, and they're not doing this all at once. I'm envisioning one at a time, and toss, nope. And then Simeon, all right, bring your bag out, trunk, whatever it is, right? Toss. So this probably took a long time, and the brothers are sitting there going, "Come on, there's nothing here. What are you searching for?" And then 9, 10, and then Benjamin, right? And then it's like, oh, how did this happen? And so you see they tore their clothes, and we talked about before. There's this theme running through where. When Reuben went to the pit, he tore his clothes because Joseph wasn't there, and then they go back to Jacob and make up the story. I don't know who this is. Jacob tears his clothes. So this theme is repeating of, woe is me, and that's in the culture when you tear your clothes. It's basically someone's dead, right? Because they have made this vow that Benjamin was going to die. So another thing is when it's just an expression of grief. You've seen some movies where they tear their garment. And it can also mean, this person is shunned from the family, so there's kind of that going on too.
So, I'm missing something. So he goes to the sacks and finds nothing, but didn't they put the money in each of the brothers' sacks and then just the cup and Benjamin?
Yes.
So I guess they don't care about the money.
They don't care about the money this time. They want the cup. Yeah. So interesting. 14 and 15.
When Judah and his brothers came to Joseph's house, he was still there. They fell before him to the ground. Joseph said to them, "What deed is it that you have done? Do you not know that a man like me can practice divination?"
So he's pouring it on, right? I imagine they're perp walked all the way back into town, and I'm sure a crowd is gathering. They're looking like, who are these guys? What have they done? They must be guilty. Like when we drive by a side of the road and there's the flashing lights. It just you draw attention to the fact that someone is not in a good spot. They bow again, right? This theme, this whole thing started because they didn't want to bow down, and now this is like, the second or third time that they've all bowed down to him. Kind of humorous there. And then, Joseph is playing up the Egyptian divination thing here. It's interesting. Look at verse 14. It doesn't just say the brothers. It now says Judah and his brothers. And so we've got this maturation process of Judah. He starts out, he's the ringleader of selling Joseph into the pit. 38, that sordid chapter where he's not doing right by his daughter-in-law, and God has to basically intervene so that this line continues. Now you start to see his maturity coming up, and this is kind of a picture of us, right? We mess up, and then God has to work on us a little bit. We grow, and then we're in kind of becoming that man or woman who God wants us to be. So it says Judah and his brothers now. I think that's a clue in the text that Judah is now, he's now the family leader, apart from Joseph. So another question here: why is Joseph continuing this? Why is he continuing this charade, even to the point where he's pretending to be, someone who practices divination?
On my trip, somebody gave me an apology, and I accepted it at face value, and I was cautious. I'm glad I was, because that person stalked me into Mississippi on my phone.
Wow.
And it's like, thanks for protecting me, but it made me angry. And
Yeah.
it's like, if you really meant what you said, you wouldn't be doing this now.
Mm-hmm.
And for Joseph, he had to know.
Yeah. The thoughts on why he's continuing this? I mean, he could have, brought them here and then, let it go, but he doesn't.
Probably just to test their integrity.
Yeah.
Make sure that they truly were changed from when they sold them into slavery.
And now we're going to see that in the next passage, 16 to 17.
What shall we, then Judah said, what shall we say to my Lord? What shall we speak? Or how shall we clear ourselves? God has found out the iniquity of your servants. Here we are, my Lord's slaves, both we and he also with whom the cup was found. But he said, far be it from me that I should do so. The man in whose hand the cup was found, he shall be my slave. And as for you, go up in peace to your father.
So again, he's protecting Benjamin here. If we compare, I'll read Genesis 42, 10 and 11. Ancient eyes. So this is the first time they're before Joseph, and Joseph asks them the same question. He says, "You're spies. You have come to see the undefended places in the land." Here's what they say: "No, my lord, your servants come to buy grain as food. All of us. We are sons of one man. We're honest, right? Your servants have never been spies." So I read that as they're relying on their own integrity, and now they're kind of, see the change? Now they're falling on Joseph's mercy. Joseph said to them, "What deed is this you have done?" He doesn't say, "Why did you take my cup?" So Joseph knows that they're innocent of that, but he knows that they've done other deeds, right? Yeah.
God has found out the iniquity of your servants. I'm not sure that this is the first time that it's been mentioned in Genesis, but iniquity is layers of sin, unconfessed sin, layers of it. Not just transgression, not just trespass, not just missing the mark. But iniquity, that's powerful.
Yeah. So that's quite the statement from Judah, right? God has found out the iniquity of your servants. And of course, Joseph, they don't know that Joseph knows that they know, however that works. But I think it's a powerful testimony, right? Now we're like, this is all happening because of our sin. And we're acknowledging that. They're not going to say to Joseph what they've done, but at least they recognize that the iniquity. So Cody's notes. Joseph wants to test them now regarding their love for their brother. Benjamin is the guilty one, so it is Benjamin who must stay. They sold him into slavery. Now he says, just leave Benjamin here. He can be my slave. The rest of you can go home. So now is that moment, right? This tension in the story. And it's interesting, I've got a Bible that breaks up the Jewish readings here, and so the segment ends after this verse, right? So you've got this cliffhanger that they read in. So they hold on to it. What's going to happen? Because now is that opportunity. You know, they could say, bye, we're out of here. You know, good luck, Benjamin. God be with you. I'll pray for you. Or have they really changed? Are they really going to stand by him? You know, are they going to abandon him the way they did Joseph, or are they going to stand by Benjamin? So we don't have to wait, so let's find out. 18 through 24.
Then Judah went up to him and said, "O my lord, please let your servant speak a word in my lord's ears, and let not your anger burn against your servant, for you are like Pharaoh himself." My lord asked his servant, saying, "Have you a father or brother?" And we said to my lord, "We have a father, an old man, and a young brother, the child of his old age. His brother is dead, and he alone is left of his mother's children, and his father loves him. Then you said to your servants, Bring him down to me, and I may set my eyes on him. We said to my lord, The boy cannot leave his father, for if he should leave his father would die. Then you said to your servants, Unless your youngest brother comes down with you, you shall not see my face again. When we went back to your servant, my father, we told him the words of my lord."
You could actually keep going, 25 to 29.
And when the father said, "Go again, buy us a little food," we said, "We cannot go down. If our youngest brother goes with us, then we will go down. For we cannot see the man's face unless our youngest brother is with us." Then your servant, my father, said to us, "You know that my wife bore me 2 sons. One left me, and I said, Surely he has been torn to pieces, and I have never seen him since. If you take this one also from me, and harm happens to him, you will bring down my gray hairs and evil to Sheol."
So we've talked about how Jacob is holding on to Benjamin, right? He's got, in his mind, he's got nothing else. This is the verse I mentioned earlier. You know that my wife bore me 2 sons. Well, the other brothers, he's telling the other brothers this. So, what? So that's how highly he regarded Rachel and how highly he regarded Joseph and Benjamin. So Joseph's hearing this for the first time, right? This is the first time Joseph has heard the story and he's heard Jacob reacting. You gotta imagine he's going to be torn up, right? We're going to see that the next verse, the next chapter is Joseph basically is going to have a breakdown, and he's got to he's got to come to grips with it. So it's powerful, powerful stuff here. As I said, in chapter 45, we'll learn Joseph's general reaction to Judah's speech. The question is, how do you think he responded specifically to that last part in 27 through 29? How do you think what would you, I guess another question is, if you were in Joseph's position and you heard the story, that now your dad thinks you're torn to pieces and has ever since then, 20 some odd years ago, is still grieving, what would your thoughts be?
Emotional, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe angry too.
A little bit of everything, right? Yeah. He's got a comment in here about Jacob. He's growing. He's not the con artist that maybe he used to be, but he still has a ways to go. The third paragraph under that. There are Christians today who reveal a very wonderful faith in God at a time when death comes to a loved one. Others collapse whenever this happens. I don't care how much you love a member of your family, if you are both children of God, you know you're going to see each other again someday. The one walking by faith is not going to collapse at a time like that. Therefore, we can recognize that Jacob had not yet arrived. Although he is growing in grace, he still does not have complete trust in God. Now, there's some issue of how much insight they had regarding afterlife. So I don't know if we can hold Jacob accountable for not knowing that, if that hadn't been revealed. Remember, this is only Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right? The whole Adonai, Lord thing is fairly new on the scene. So it's not, maybe not all of these things have been revealed. But it's interesting application for us. When someone dies, if they're saved, we're not sorry for them, we're sorry for us. We're sorry for our loss and the impact that person had on our lives that is now going to be vacant. But that person is, if they're saved again, they're going to be fine. Yeah. last 4 verses.
Now therefore, when I come to your servant my father, and the lad is not with us, since his life is bound up in the lad's life, it will happen, when he sees that the lad is not with us, that he will die. So your servants will bring down the gray hair of your servant our father with sorrow to the grave. For your servant became surety for the lad to my father, saying, if I do not bring him back to you, then I shall bear the blame before my father forever. Now therefore, please let your servant remain instead of the lad as a slave to my lord. Let the lad go up with his brothers. For how shall I go up to my father if the lad is not with me? Lest perhaps I see the evil that would come upon my father.
A terrible place to end the chapter. We want to know the rest of it, right? And it's a good reminder that the chapter breaks are they came much later. So normally we would go on and read at least the first verse of chapter 45. Joseph could no longer restrain himself in front of all those who were standing by him. So he cried out, "Get everyone away from me." So no one stood with him. Joseph made himself known to his brothers. That's the big reveal, which we'll get to next time. But this is just a powerful statement by Judah here. Sir Walter Scott was a novelist in the 19th century. He described this section as the most complete pattern of genuine natural eloquence in any language. So just a powerful soliloquy, or whatever you want to call it here, kind of rivaling, what Shakespeare wrote of Hamlet. To be or not to be. It's almost that same level of passion that's coming through Judah's lines here. And of course, Judah is in the line of Joseph. Start again. Jesus is in the line of Judah. All right, so the line of the tribe of Judah, who will lay down his life for all of us. The model is Judah is willing, come full circle. Instead of selling someone who's innocent, he's now going to take the place of someone who's innocent. At least that's what he's offering. And so Romans 5:8, God commended his love towards us in that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. And of course, Jesus took the place of the guilty. So we see this powerful change in Judah's heart that comes from this maturity and God working on him. So when we mess up, God's not done with us. Right? That's the lesson that I take from John chapter 21, where Jesus takes Peter, pulls him aside. So this is after the resurrection. 3 nights ago, or however, a week ago, whatever it was, Peter has denied Jesus 3 times after being the one that said, "Not me, I don't want to do that." Denies him 3 times. Jesus then appears to them. They're back fishing up in Galilee. What do you want to do? I don't know what to do. Let's go fishing. Let's do what we know how to do. Nothing is making sense right now. Jesus is making breakfast on the shore, and then after breakfast, Peter, let's talk. And you can just imagine. But no, what does Jesus say? 3 times, do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? So God's not done with any of us yet whenever we mess up, and I think that's one of the pictures from Judah here. This last paragraph, I can just go ahead and read. It's really good. What a change had been worked in Judah. In chapter 37, he ruthlessly sold Joseph for profit, without concern for his father's heartbreak. In chapter 38, he was involved in deception and immorality, but God was working in his heart so that in chapter 43, he became surety, he became a pledge. He says, Benjamin's safety is above my own safety. I pledge my life for him. Now in chapter 44, he pours out his heart in intercession before Joseph, offering himself as a slave so as not to bring upon his father the crushing sorrow of also losing Benjamin. From selling his own brother into slavery to becoming a slave in his brother's stead, from callousness towards his father to sacrificial concern for his well-being. This is the process of the grace of God in the life of Judah. And so really powerful. So what are some things that you find, what are, of Judah's speech going all the way back to verse 18 or so, what are some things that stand out?
Well, when he went on to Joseph, he was risking death. Egyptians and poor Hebrews
Yeah.
can't be around him. So he was risking his death going so close.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's commendable.
And there's actually the Hebrew verb is vayigash, and you can see he approached, and it's used in any number of ways in the scripture. It's used to kind of get in your face, and so from that, some people think, well, Judah was ready to take on. You know, if he wasn't going to let Benjamin go, you know, it didn't go well. I don't know that I see that, because I think there's a position hierarchy that I don't think Judah would have violated that. But in other cases, it can be used to intercede. And I'm looking for my verse. 1 Kings. Then at the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice, Elijah the prophet approached, drew near, same verb, and said, Lord God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, today let it be known that you are God in Israel, and that I am your servant, and that I have done all things at your word. So this is right before, this is on Mount Carmel, if you know the story. He's having this showdown with priests of Baal, and you build your altar, I'll build my altar, whichever ones of our gods, you know, calls down fire and consumes the altar, you know, that my God wins or your God wins. And so the priests of Baal have been at it, they're cutting themselves, they're chanting, Elijah's actually mocking them, pretty funny, talking trash.
Maybe
and then,
he's sleeping.
Yeah,
maybe he's in the bathroom. Yell louder.
Yeah, maybe he can't hear you. So then, you know, it's his turn. And what does he do? He draws near, by gosh, to the Lord and offers this prayer. So I think that's, you're right. And there's another point, which I didn't mention earlier. When he says it is because of our iniquity, he's basically saying, no, you didn't divine anything. It's us. You know, we did. So again, he's kind of being bold right there, right? He's saying, you don't have any powers of divination, you know, in so many words. It's because of our sin that this has fallen on us. So that's a great observation. Anything else from that passage?
His humility and awareness of like his absolute powerlessness here. There's nothing he can do that's going to change the situation, right? And he completely understands that Joseph is in a power or is in a position of authority over him, and he just approaches him with humility.
Yeah, and I think it's a model for us whenever we mess up, right? Don't try and cover your tracks. Don't bring a coat and pour blood on it and say, oh, you know.
They don't say it here in the passage, but culturally, when he came to Joseph, he bowed down. His face was prostrate in the ground.
Yeah.
Before he got up.
Yeah.
When he got up, he was bowing his head. Here, he's talking to the ground through an interpreter.
Right.
We don't get it as Americans, unless you've lived in a culture like that.
Yeah. We watched a movie last night called Denial, and this American is charged in a British court, and the judge, you know, when the British judge walks up, everyone bows. She says, "I'm American, I'm not bowing." You know, interesting. She's the defendant in the case, so
Can I help you?
it worked out. So this pleading of intercession on behalf of Benjamin, I think, is kind of the model and where we want to be, right? Maybe we'll never do anything as bad as Judah did in chapter 37, but we will screw up, right? And when we do, it's this model of humility. And, you know, it's my sin that caused this. I can't make it go away, but all I can do is confess and try and make restitution. All right, so next time, Party will be back, and we'll have the big family reunion, and it's a great story. You can see where you needed this chapter, even though, you know, it went by pretty quickly, and there's not a whole lot to dig out. There's a few things here and there, but you needed this to, you know, where the filmmakers say it's an establishing shot. You know, you got that 5 seconds of getting your bearings before the main scene comes up, and so that's what this chapter is. Any other final thoughts? Thought we finished a little early today. Yeah. Any prayer requests?